Welcome to Storycomic Presents, where we interview amazing storytellers and artists. This is episode 296. I'm your host, Barney Smith of Storycomic.com. And we're excited to have with us the acclaimed and celebrated comic creators of Home Free, John Kratky and Michelle Lodge.
Hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
Hey.
John and Michelle, how you doing? As of this recording, your Kickstarter has been launched, and it's well over 50% on your Kickstarter, and it is Home Free issues 1 through 4, and you've also been able to take Home Free, and you've had successful Kickstarters in the past for your previous issues as well.
This one's actually our most successful, just in terms of like funding and how fast it got to where it is right now. Yeah, it was a nice, huge jump in that first couple of days. So it was kind of nice to see that, like, hey, we're doing something right.
Talk to us a little bit about the synopsis and the theme of the comic.
So the main character is Sara. She actually carries over from a graphic novel that Michelle and I created a couple of years ago. We released it as a webcomic called The Black Wall. So this is kind of like her story 10 years after the events of that one. We pick up with her. She's in a small town of Coos Bay, Oregon. She's kind of escaped, like she's gone there for kind of a solitude kind of life, you know, but all around her, America's kind of getting into a chaotic time where there's opposing sides and there's lots of like big protests and riots and just like political strife going on within the country. And she kind of takes the opportunity when she meets a young girl named Emmy, who's been abused by a pimp, to escape the country or to escape Coos Bay and just kind of take that as a sign. Hey, I'm going to get this girl out of here, take her to safety. Then I'm going to get the hell out of here too. It's time for me to go. And her plan is to go to Mexico and just kind of continue running.
Right.
Because that's what she's kind of done all her life, because she has a very, not a great past. You know, she's had a lot of strife, and now she's running to Mexico, and all along the way, she's kind of getting into some crazy situations, because as the country is kind of melting down around her, she finally hits San Diego, where it's come to ahead, and there's just like full-blown urban warfare going on, and she's almost to Mexico. But now we're on, you know, issue 4 and 5 are the last ones of the series, so we're just kind of like, what's going to happen to Sara? Where is she going to end up?
Right. So what was the conversation like between the two of you when COVID hit and when everything was on lockdown? Did the two of you talk to each other like, this is kind of weird, huh? Didn't we talk like, how is your writing of a post-apocalyptic setting changed since COVID?
I think Michelle and I were at a point, we finished The Black Wall. She ran her own Kickstarter first with Mo Mentality, and she had success with it. And I think we just, we put something together for a pitch, and we sent it out a bunch of places. Didn't really happen for us. And we're just like, what can we do? You know, what do we want to do next? And I think we were just like, hey, let's just do a Kickstarter together. We'll create like a new thing, just something short, and that's, you know, just something we can do to kind of get ourselves started in the Kickstarter universe. And so Home Free was originally supposed to be 3 issues, so it was supposed to be much shorter. But I ran it by some people, and there just seemed to be a lot of missing pieces. So I went back, and it just expanded to 5 issues. And it was written, I'm trying to where did we start? We must have started in 2020 or towards the end, because the first issue we did funding for it in 2021 at the end of that. And I think is that when we did it?
Sounds
I
about
know.
right. Those years are kind
Yeah.
of a blur.
It is. It is. And we've been working together so long. I really don't even know exactly when it all started. Sometimes I'm like, when was it? I have to like go look for old emails and figure out the dates, or look at
Right.
our old website and like look at when we posted pages and like the dates that I had attached to them. But I think we saw the things going on, and like it just worked with like where Sarah's history was in the Black Wall comic and revisiting her life 10 years later. It just kind of worked out like that the world would be kind of in the same place, because when we wrote the Black Wall, it was more about surveillance and everything, and we get into that a little bit in this story, but it's more about it was kind of a near dystopian future, not too far off, things that could happen to us. And I think the reaction with the world, the way the build up to the things people talk about with civil war kind of stuff these days, and just like
Mm.
the going against each other right now, this comic just kind of naturally fit into building up towards that. So
Right.
it kind of worked out, and just to reflect on life as it is right now a little bit.
So talk to us a bit, Michelle, about how the process works between you and John. Do you have a hand in the actual scripting piece? Because the two of you have been working together for so long. Do you both have your own specific, segregated responsibilities?
We can give each other feedback and do. It's just most often, a lot of times we don't need to. Yeah, John takes care of the scripting side, and we'll ask if there's anything off, or what do I think, and you know I can't think of a time where anything's been off, or I don't think it's going in a good direction. And then sometimes he has some edits for me with art. Most of the time, it's very smooth process. Yeah.
Oh,
Would you
and
say that's accurate, John?
Yeah, I think yeah, no, we really it's like in any kind of notes we really have for each other, I think it's just like, just hey, this doesn't totally make sense or whatever. And we just, fix the problem. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. We just like I think we just kind of have the same mindset for this. Like we kind of call what we do is dramatic crime fiction.
mm,
And we just kind of like I think gel together on like the thing that we want to create.
right.
Yeah, like we have another project that's going to be coming up. I guess next, right? I think that's the
Yes.
plan.
Oh,
Yeah, and
yeah.
it was originally a script by Michelle, and then I
Oh,
took her script and kind of just kind of looked at it and see what we could do with it, and just so basically it's co-written by both of us with that one. And yeah, but Michelle, like honestly, I always say like she like artists are always the co-writer really, because like those images are so important obviously to what a comic book is, but you could take all the dialogue and all the captions all the stuff away from any comic that we do together, and you'll know what's going on in that story. You might not know the exact details, but Michelle's so good at, I think, like putting her pacing in and just like capturing the right moments, that I feel like you don't even need to read the words necessarily. You could look at it as like a picture book and just
mm.
follow along pretty closely what's going on.
How do you do your work? Is it digital, or are you using paper and pen? How do you doing your work?
I work digitally these days. It just
Okay.
makes the whole thing move along faster. No scanning or cleaning up, images that way. So it just takes all of that out. And I use Clip Studio as a program.
Okay.
So,
How have you seen, for instance, when doing comics, was there a level of
mm,
how does that editing piece happen where let John know there's too many words here to put in one frame, in one box? Is that conversations happen earlier on when you're working on the Black Wall?
I think actually I've had to edit panels because I didn't leave enough room for like the dialogue that was there. So I learned very quickly to pay attention to that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had to shorten
Right.
dialogue.
Whenever I've done like live, or not done like live panels, been to them at comic conventions, I've tried to really listen to the letterers, you know, when they tell you how many word bubbles are supposed to really be in there and everything. And I cut, like, back in the day when I first started, I had a comic called Coffee Time, and I lettered everything myself, and it was awful. It was so bad. And like, I realized after, when you look at that stuff, I wrote too many words in there, and it's really bad looking, you know? So I'm editing all the way up to before I give it to the letterer.
Right.
So when I get the pages from Michelle, I go one time through it, one last time, and really try to take words out and rephrase things so it just kind of fits in better and looks better. And sometimes I take out dialogue bubbles and, you know, just realize, that doesn't need to be there. There's too many words. So I'm pretty hard on myself as an editor. You know, eventually I think I'm going to have to hire an editor, because I'd love to have somebody else kind of putting input on that, you know?
Right. So what attracts you guys to the genre of like crime fiction?
I love it because it's real. There's something very human about it. It's not fantastical, and I don't know, I feel like I really get into it because it's something that could happen, and I like to see how the characters respond to these things.
Yeah, I think if like that makes sense for, you know, Michelle saying that, because if you look at her art, like she captures like emotion really well in characters' faces without them even, you know, words coming out of their mouths. You kind of know what they're thinking. So just like being attracted to the human side of it, I think that makes sense. For me, it's just like I've ever since I was a kid, I was just attracted to like the darker side of things. Like I was like probably 8 years old, 7 years old, like drawing zombies and skulls and, you know, like just weird stuff like that when I was like a little kid. Like, you know, I look back, like I wonder if my parents were concerned at all, you know. But, you know, just growing into that, like I'm like a huge movie fan, and like at a young age, like in my late teens, probably I got into the film noir genre and just started like diving in on that stuff, and really loved that dynamics there of like desperate characters, and like, you know, getting into these crazy situations where they just have to do things that maybe they don't even want to do, or they're like not really doing at their own will, but because of like, you know, some stupid man like is doing it for that femme fatale character, because, you know, she's got him wrapped around her finger and making him do some crazy things so that they can make a bunch of money off of her current husband. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff, right, where characters get trapped in those situations, you know. I just love that, because it's like it's a puzzle to try to find out how they're going to get out of it, you know.
The genre that you're working in, is there like, from the reader's perspective, do you think there's some level of expectation or assumption that you're making like some level of like social commentary on something?
It would make sense, I think. I mean, film noir, or just noir, that genre, right, the crime genre, is very cynical. Like, right, even though I'm pretty positive, you know, like I have a pretty cynical side to me sometimes. So I feel personally like that cynicism it's out there. You can feel it, but like, I feel like it's missing from our entertainment and stuff these days. Right. Like, it's like we're still got like, which is cool. It's good to have heroes and stuff, but the hero thing is very the center of our attention still, you know. But like, man, like, it makes sense that film noir was big after World War II, you know, like in the 40s and 50s. It just makes sense that there was this streak of cynicism going through society. And like, I'm like, where's my cynicism, my entertainment, man? Because that's what I look for. And it's not there. So hopefully me and Michelle are providing that, you know?
So talk to us a little bit about kind of like the world you've created. Is this, you know, US adjacent? Is this supposed to be like the world we're living in now?
I mean, it's adjacent. Like it's I always like looked at it as like it was like a near future dystopia.
Mm,
It's the thing we're on the edge of. It's not like, it's not about AI like and robots and like you know what Big Brother, and like it's that stuff is like there on the edge of things, but it's just like, hey, this could possibly happen, and do you really want this,
right.
um, so it's kind of it's America, but it's not our America necessarily. But it's
Right.
America as it maybe can be, or maybe we can also avoid that too.
What part did you like the most? The question for both of you is creating the individual storyline of watching somebody go through this, or actually creating the setting to have your character journey through this.
Oh, I know. Yeah, definitely Sara. Just her character is the best part for me. Yeah, I love her whole journey, her growth as a person throughout the Black Wall, and then now home free, and then she's got these values, but also a very hard shell that she's earned, to be honest. So
Mm.
I love the world around. Debatable. A lot of stuff to draw in that world.
Because it's like a road trip basically. Because it starts in Coos Bay, Oregon. We go through the mount, like kind of like a mountain area of Oregon in the second issue, down to the Nevada desert in the third issue, and now we're in San Diego.
Mm.
And so she's had to like really kind of adapt to different environments on every single issue to draw. And then like the hardest part for her, I'm guessing, in San Diego, like I always say this, like I felt really bad writing the script for issue 4, because there's like it's a very action oriented and movement oriented script that's taking place in a city that's kind of fallen to urban warfare, and so there's a lot of people and action and just things happening in every panel. Almost there's not really too many quiet panels in that one, so her work is just, man, like it's cut out for her on that one. She's doing like every page I've seen, and she's blowing it away. She's doing
Right.
awesome.
Oh, thank you.
So the two of you, as you're writing the script, do you feel like there's some level of importance because there's this level of being like the parents to Sara in a way, and the parents to these characters is that to feel like, man, we should really give her a break. I mean, is there something where you're like, can we just have like one episode where she's just like, hanging out playing checkers or something, like just having like any like, how much does Sara do that you weren't expecting her to do in the script, or how you draw her? She's like, I think she's gonna be doing this. Like, how does that work? Since you've been around her for so long.
I can tell you from my experience, John is amazing at keeping you on your toes as a reader, because issue 1 I read and I'm like, wow, okay, and then I'm thinking I know where issue 2 is going, and then issue 2 I read it, I'm like, whoa, okay, I thought it was going over here, it's going over here, and then I read issue 3, it's the same thing, and it's like, whoa, it's amazing and wonderful, and I love it.
I feel like I don't know if I feel that like parent kind of thing with the characters, just because like as you're writing them, you get to know them, and you know how it is when you write. I mean, like sometimes you're just in the mode, and like characters start doing things kind of on their own almost. Just like the magic of writing kind of starts happening, and you maybe, obviously you're writing things that, hey, that's not the decision I would make in this life. Like I would be like going the other direction if I rolled up on San Diego in the situation it's in. You know what I mean? That would not be my decision to like carry on and go forward. But Sara, like, they're your characters. I think you just learn to trust them and know, you kind of know where it's going most of the time, I think. And you just kind of trust them, and like you don't really have to worry about them.
Right.
It just depends on the character, I guess. Uh, like because I go into it knowing somewhat what the ending is going to be. So just, I guess it depends on where it's leading. And sometimes, you just have to look at your character like it's just a human being, and gotta understand, like, you know, my characters don't always end up in happy places, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And you just gotta kind of I try to be like a little bit logical about it, and just realistically look at it and look at the decisions they've made, and try to understand, like, hey, this is where this person took themselves in a way. Doesn't make it the situation not sad. Doesn't mean you don't care, but you just got, you got to have that, like, a little bit of distance on them, I think.
So talk to us a little bit about now the your tier levels. So this is what I'm really curious about. You have on here on your Kickstarter, you have a deluxe PDF.
So that includes, I know, some additional artwork.
Okay.
And some additional writings by John.
Yeah, we're
gonna a bit more.
Yeah, like all the covers will be there. Like, so we have three different
cool.
covers. And yeah, I'll write like an essay about the characters, and like I think in the last issue I did one about naming characters. So it'll be something along that lines, that like how you dissect that. You know what I mean? And we worked with like an awesome artist, Malis Rosa, on one of the variant covers, and she's just extraordinary. So I asked her if it was cool. Hey, can I show the breakdown of like the covers, or the cover that you did, and just like how we got there? And she's like, yeah, of course, So she gave me like all the files for that, because it's so weird, like when you're doing covers with people, all the little decisions that you make, like, hey, should we put blood on this, or should we not put blood? And like, so they're like the PDF, the deluxe is going to have just a little bit more, not just the pages, but like a little bit behind the scenes as well.
The digital bundle. So this is just all issues 1 through 4. And that's a really good deal too, that you have issues 1 through 4 as well for $29. So that people can end up saving a lot of money if they just go with the bundles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the beauty of bundling. That's how I've learned. I've started doing conventions this year. Finally, that's where I learned, like, you really, when you make bundles, people are willing to spend more and buy more, and especially if you're telling them, hey, you're not, you're saving like $20 here or $10 here,
And so what's the big digital bundle that you have?
That one, so that has all the issues. It's going to have, I think, my graphic novel, the Getting Back to Normal, in there. Yes, there it is.
Yeah.
That's the previous Kickstarter that I did. That, and then I also write novellas. I've been doing that since issue 2 for each issue of Home Free. So they involve characters or situations. Like the first novella was this girl May, who Sara has to tie to a sink in the first issue. So I was like, hey, she's one of those interesting side characters that doesn't really get a lot of play. She's just in this moment. Like, what's her story? So I just kind of like did the day before, the day of, and like the days after the sink incident, just to kind of show you what happened to her. And then the second one, Inheritor of the Dead, it's about a forensics cleaner who happens upon the accident, something that happens in the second issue of Home Free, and like it's his story, and like it's a crime story, more like hard crime, where he finds an object at the crash site. He's after that object. He doesn't realize that. He tries to pawn it, and then gets involved in this whole dark story. And then I'm writing a novella for the current issue that's actually a trip into Sara's past. It's called Stop Through, and it's so basically she's going. It's like a part of her past, like in this issue, she's going south. It's a part of her past where she was coming north up 395 from California back to Reno. And it's like a real dive into like her person, and like, places she's been, and things that were going on, and her decisions that kind of led her to Coos Bay. So it's just like a really cool little, more of a dramatic noir than a crime noir. She's still in a desperate situation. There's still some things going on, but it's not necessarily like a hard crime story. It's really, I'm loving writing it. It's going to be probably the longest one too. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. I can't wait to finish that one.
So Michelle, I love the idea that you're drawing somebody's portrait in the future comic. And I love the noir portrait. Where did that idea come from?
I think that was your idea, John. No? I think
Maybe.
so.
We've been doing that since the first issue, and they always sell out. I think there's only one left right now. So, yeah, and she knocks it out of the park, man. Those are so cool. Like, if you cannot miss that deal, because it's really, you're getting everything in our $100 tier, and then you're getting a portrait done by Michelle on top of that. And really, like, we should be issue 5. We're going to charge more for that. So get on this one now, because we can definitely charge more than $200 for that tier.
And so, is that a digital or is that ink, pen and ink?
I draw those digitally. I just use my same drawing program.
How important is it when you're doing this of really understanding where light source is coming from?
Oh man, that's so important. In order to have the depth of field that you want to have, it is really important to, find your light source and try to stay true to that.
It's all magic to me. When I see that, I'm just like, I don't know how she's doing that. That's amazing. What?
If people want to learn more about Home Free and learn more about both of your works, where's the best place they could go to?
I'd say the Kickstarter, because it really, like, we kind of break down, what's going on in the current issues. We kind of give a little bit of the world in there. We have a breakdown of the world. But I guess, like, if you go to our websites, there should be descriptions of each comic on each one.
Right.
But I really think, the best place to figure out what's going on is probably our Kickstarter. Yeah, or you can even just look at the old Kickstarters too. You know what I mean? They're all up there still. So,
right.
So listen, the two of you are going to have to come back on next time you're ready for more issues. Because you said issues 1 through 4. That's all you're doing for Home Free.
One more. We're doing issue 5, probably early next year at this point.
Thanks. All right. Well, thank you so much, you two. This has been great.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
I asked a librarian if she had a book about Pavlov's dog and Schrodinger's cat. She said it rang a bell, but she wasn't sure if it was there or not. So, all right. Anyway, let me do my intro. So, I'm editing all this out anyway because it's not about me; it's about you guys. So here we go.
Right.